Yeah, totally. Guess I should now be a little more careful with my dialogue. I just saw a tweet come through that we're now live on Twitter.
Yep, I see it showing as live on Facebook, although I don't see anything broadcasting yet. Let me try going to the watch live screen. Oh, I think there's a little bit of a delay maybe. Oh, there it goes. Yeah.
All right, I'm checking it in on Twitter. I can see just like a regular post. You can probably see it too. So yeah. Anyway, looks good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
See a post from Jim McLean.
Hey, Jim. We're trying to figure this out. Thanks for being the first guest. I don't know if you can hear us. All right. I'm trying to figure out where do I see the live feed on our page, not in the event.
If you go to the WCPE page and go to the event, there should be a button right below it that says watch live.
I think everything that you just said, I don't know, did you just type that? Like you said, you just gave me instructions and then I think everything, no, I don't know how to turn this off. It is creating on the fly screen captions of everything that we say. That's interesting. So I can't see it on the MacBook, but I'm holding an iPad and watching the stream that way, and it's coming through. It's creating these along the bottom of the screen. That's weird. So live video.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool and weird, but I don't know how to turn it off. we'll go ahead. We'll give it just a couple more minutes. I'll leave it on this landing page and then we'll flip it over. We should have made sure Vince was going to be on here so that we could just dunk on him for 2 hours.
I went on to his show earlier today.
I watched his YouTube video. I'm glad I saw him invite you. I was wondering if you made it on.
Yep. They called me while they were recording, and we talked a little smack. And
nice.
As he said, the important thing is we're raising money.
That's right. It's the All Help Hero. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna let this go for one more minute, and then I'm gonna cut us over.
All right.
I think they can probably. Did Jim respond? Can he hear us?
He can.
Okay. Great. All right. Then let's go ahead and do this.
All right.
Welcome, everybody. This is our first time using StreamYard, so be patient with us. But as you can see, I have my comrade in arms, Jerry McMullen, here to help us out throughout the afternoon and keep track of anyone and everyone who's going to be contributing. This is our 2021 Spooktacular claim sale to benefit the Hero Initiative. And we are raising money. If you're not familiar with the Hero Initiative, they are a federally recognized nonprofit, and their sole charter is to assist comic book creators in need. And so they've been doing it for about 21 years. Started off as actor, a commitment to our roots, and then after a few years, got some great feedback, and then decided to rebrand as Heroes. So that's how we've gotten here. Jerry and I and our friend John have been volunteering for 16 years. Jer, I think that's pretty close, around 2004.
It might have been a year or two before that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so we've been associated with it for a long time, and it's really, our pet love, the giant warm spot in our heart for our hobby and for this particular nonprofit. So anyway, so what we're going to do today is go through and make some books available and share with all of you who are watching. The claim sale, the way this will work is that I'll just hold up a book and give you the price. And if you're interested in it, you'll just go into the chat window and say claim and some sort of descriptor of the book, the title, the issue number, what I looked like when I was holding the book, some way to give us an idea that, you're looking for a specific book. The one thing that we ask is that this will be a little bit of an unofficial science. So there shouldn't be any sort of, arguments or fights about who had claimed what. If there is some sort of confusion or something, we'll just take it offline and get it straightened out. Because at the end of the day, we just want to raise some money and have a good time and celebrate our hobby. So like I said, if you see a book, go ahead and throw a comment into the chat window. Jerry will track all of your claims. And then what we'll do is at the end, or when you know that you've picked or selected the books that you want, you can just literally go to the Facebook fundraiser page on our Facebook website, on our Facebook page, and make your donation there. And then we'll just go ahead and pick up your shipping. You won't be paying for shipping, and we'll send your books and things out to you within the next week. So that's how we'll pay for things. It'll be directly through the Facebook fundraiser that Jerry set up on our Worst Comic Podcast Ever Facebook page. And we can, if you have troubles finding the link or getting to it, we're happy to help. Jerry or I can air traffic control you to the right place. So, Jer, any other questions or anything that I'm forgetting?
No, I'm excited. I see comments in the chat window from Doug and Bill. Thank you guys for joining us. If you have joined us, and go ahead and just drop a note in the chat window so we know that you're here. And I'm going to try to get the link to the Facebook page fundraiser added while we're doing all of this. So,
okay, super. Well, while you're doing that, if technology is going to work with me, we'll take just a moment and play a little video about the Hero Initiative and get us ready.
And I needed help, but when you can't hear well and you can hardly walk.
I have rheumatoid arthritis. It's actually a systemic disease that attacks your internal organs. It attacks your tendons.
I was dealing with carpal tunnel syndrome. My hands would go numb, my fingers would go numb as I'm losing my ability to draw. The fact that somebody cared meant a whole lot.
Finally, after losing our home, Hero Initiative has been sending us monthly grocery cards. If it wasn't for those grocery cards, we would really have a hard time eating.
Hero Initiative is the only registered charity dedicated to helping comic book creators in medical and financial need.
I've been so intimately connected with so many artists and writers over the years, some of whom are in need of help right now. And it's just great that there's an organization like Hero that's there to help them.
People were just working for very small page rates. There were no royalties. There were no ancillary income provided for those who created the characters who have made millions since then.
Most of the comic creators that were working piecemeal. They were working without any sort of retirement plan.
Even today, so many of us freelancers, we're living paycheck to paycheck.
But what we do is we try to help during medical crises and financial crises.
And I never knew about Hero Initiative until the time came when they appeared on the
Not sure our videos totally are working fantastically.
Yeah,
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll get it figured out for take 2.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely an issue with the laptop. All right. So let's try to get back into it here. Jared, can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I know my video is locked up. I can see my color wheel spinning, so we might have to improvise. There we go.
We're caught up now.
All right, fantastic. So we won't play any more videos. We had some cool things lined up. Like I said, I don't think my laptop can keep up with everything, but no fault of StreamYards or Hero for sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started then. We have got this kind of built out with number ones, signed number ones, some signed books that are part of a set, some sets that aren't signed, and then shiny things from the 90s. And so we'll kind of take a break in between each one of those and make sure we've got everyone who's watching and wants to make a claim caught and accounted for, and then we'll keep going. So I'm going to go ahead.
Hey, Alex, I'll take shiny things from the 90s for 100.
That's the very least you're going to take it for.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot. So yeah, no, it's fantastic. All right. So we're going to start off with this Marvel must-have. It's number one. It's Truth, and it's a reprint. It contains, I believe, the first 3 issues of Truth, as well as Captain America #1 and Ultimates #1. And that is going for $25 today. $25 for Truth. It's a Marvel must-have. And if you're asking yourself, well, Colin, it looks like there's also another copy of that over here. Well, this is actually the full set, issues 1 through 7, and we'll get to that in a little while. But right now, Truth, #1 Marvel must-have, $25. All right. Spider-Man Team Up, featuring the X-Men, #1. That's a $5 book. You see it has Spider-Man and the X-Men. So that should be a no-brainer. You should want that one, absolutely.
I think Doug went down for the Marvel must-have of Truth.
Nice, thank you very much. When we have somebody make a claim, I'm going to go ahead. It's spooky season, so I'll fire off the Black Cat. All right, fantastic. So next we have from Scott Snyder and Tony Daniel, their intellectual property they created, Noctera. That's an Image book. It's #1 and it's $5. Noctera. Very cool. I know Jared Leto definitely will split an audience, but he's coming up soon with a new Morbius movie, I believe. This is #1. I love this series. I love the color palettes. The entire Midnight Suns run was so fun during the 80s. That's a $5 book. Morbius, Midnight Suns, #1.
We got Ryan Perry claiming the Noctera.
All right, Ryan. Thank you, my man. Appreciate that. All right, we have an Unbeatable Squirrel Girl #1. Even they are in on the joke. It says our second #1 of the year. You got to love it. That's new comics for you. But honestly, if you didn't read Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, you missed out. You should go get it. I mean, I think so much of it. It was such a good series. Erica Henderson was the perfect artist at the perfect time for this book. Got to see her at Rose City 4 years ago, I think. And I mean, I just was given, we were talking at her table, and while we were talking, 2 Squirrel Girl cosplays came by. And I was like, I just need to let you know, being an old timer, that I've never been to a convention where a Squirrel Girl cosplay was happening, let alone multiples. And so it was all really because of the energy that Erica had put into the book. So anyway, Unbeatable Squirrel Girl #1, $5. Next one that we have is part of Dan DiDio's world building. This is Sideways. There were a series of new books that had come out after the New 52. Or
it was right around the time after Rebirth.
That's right. Thank you. That's right. And so this was one of the books that started off. Sideways is kind of a Spider-Man analog in a way. Quips, jumping around, lots of but not with webbing. It's I think he's got a power, right? Doesn't he have some type of power that allows him to shunt around and step in and out of the timeline? Anyway, super cool. Sideways, $5. Jerry and John and I were just talking about this series of books, Manhunter being one of them, coming out after 0 Hour, and how some of those books hit and some of those didn't. And I think John used the word the extreming of lots of DC characters. Definitely a touchstone, a definite reminder of the 90s. Pockets and Extreme and everything like that. So super cool. Manhunter #1, $5.
All right, this is going to be the one that breaks it. We'll see who can bid first.
I've been waiting to share this with you. So it's Alf, and unless you've been busy chasing and eating cats, you might not be aware of Alf, but he was definitely like one of the 80s most popular TV characters, a show that shouldn't have worked, but did. So this
still
is Alf,
ran for like 6 seasons.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So, puppets, right? Yeah. So $5. That's it. $5, Alf #1. You really shouldn't live without it. Eclipso #1. Most importantly, with the Eclipso stone still in the cover. Super cool.
That was a pain in the butt if you were trying to collect it and store it in a box. So
totally.
Doug has taken home the Alf book.
Yes, very nice. Thank you,
and
Doug.
I will say Eclipso has been used on this 2nd season of Stargirl. I got caught up on that series earlier this week. Been really enjoying it.
Nice. What are they? Is it a pretty close resemblance to the villain, or have they kind of TV'd him up and given him a new look?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
That you do see him in the classic Bruce Gordon look with the half and half face, and but then there's times when he changes his form into other characters.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting. Very cool. Yep. All right. Well, Eclipso #1, that was a $5 book. This is Deadpool from the Marvel Now era, #1. What are you going to do? It's the big guy. You need to be picking this up. I know that this particular one, so if you're familiar with comedians, there's a gentleman by the name of Brian Posehn,
Mhm.
and he and Jerry Dugan were co-writing Deadpool for about 2 years. And anyway, and so this is number one. They're co-writing it, and it's a $5 book, Deadpool number one.
I believe Brian Posehn is going to be in Kansas City for a 3 or 4 night stretch here in mid-November.
Absolutely go.
Mhm.
If you have an opportunity, he's a huge nerd.
Oh yeah,
He loves metal,
Mhm.
but like he's a giant nerd. And I still remember when the first episode of The Mandalorian came out.
Mhm.
Like Posehn was the one that first kind of started this thing on Twitter where if there was a guest and they had managed to keep it quiet up until the day the episode dropped, they would then get on Twitter and be like, OMG, I can't believe I'm in a Star Wars show. I've become canon, and Posehn was all about that. So, like I said, if you're in Kansas City, he's going to be in Portland, I think, maybe next week. But he's always popping in here. So anyway, next is Black Goliath, number one. That's some delicious, juicy Silver Age book right there. And you want to put your hands on it. It's only $15. It's in really great shape. One of the things that you might be asking yourself, hey, those books that Colin's putting up and Jerry's talking about, they seem like maybe they're asking too little, or maybe they're asking just a bit too much. Well, I'll tell you, we've tried to underprice as many of these as possible to move them, to raise money for Hero. Now, when I went out and priced these, I used an online service called zapkapow.com and didn't go out and see what the eBay or the open market was calling for them. So that's what the pricing will be on this. So anyway, so this is a Black Goliath.
It's already been sold. It's been sold. Barry
Oh.
Poole has claimed it.
Nice. Thank you, Barry. Very grateful. All right. Well, then let's move on to the next. So there's this guy, Dave Gibbons, and we're kind of a big fan of his around this place. And while he was doing some amazing things, of course, with Watchmen, he also was doing some amazing things for Marvel and Doctor Who. And he had done multiple issues of this. And so this is Doctor Who number one by Dave Gibbons, $10. $10, great shape. Dave Gibbons doing some Marvel work, and it's Doctor Who. Gorgeous. Boom. You say you like Steve Ditko. I like Steve Ditko too. Do you like Steve Ditko on number ones? I do. This is The Hawk and the Dove, issue number one. It's in fairly good shape all the way through, $60. This is a fantastic book. You can, I don't know if you can see, like they're like, Dove is like, he's taking a terrible beating and I can't help him. I won't fight. I can't. And Hawk is just like, taking it on the chin.
He had it coming.
Yeah. He did. Dove was staying within his moral boundaries. I get it, but
I believe Doug is asking about the Doctor Who. That was $10. Is that correct for Doctor Who?
That is a $10 book. Okay. All right. Last call for the Hawk and the Dove, and then we'll move on to the next. That's a $60 book. All right, Masters of the Universe. You might be asking yourself, Colin, that's got some happy, shiny stuff. Why didn't you save it for later? Well, it is a number one, and it contains the very first preview appearance of Invincible. So
Invincible as in like Star of the Amazon animated series?
That's exactly the Invincible that I'm speaking of, the Robert Kirkman series. And so not only do you get some Masters of the Universe, some gold foil lettering, but in the back, you're also going to get the first dip into the Invincible world. That's a $20 book. $20.
And Doug will be taking Doctor Who home with him later.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Doug. All right. I hope if you have any interest in the Dakotaverse or Milestone in general, that you've been picking up the new series that DC's been coming out. This is Icon #1 from the first volume. This is a newsstand edition, and it is $10. $10 for Icon. Yeah, super cool. Super happy to.
That looks like a direct market edition.
It does, because of the box, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you. When I was out trying to price these, this is what they considered to be the newsstand. I tried to do a double check. So they had asked for 20, but because I couldn't verify, and it absolutely looks like a direct market book, that's why I'm only asking 10 for it.
Okay.
So 10 for the Icon book, #1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Maybe you've forgotten about A-Next. Maybe you didn't know about A-Next. But we've got A-Next #1. This is a team comprised of Thunderstrike, Jubilee, Stinger, Speedball, Mainframe, and J2. Now, I don't know if you know any of those characters, because I don't think any of them, maybe Speedball. Speedball's around still. Excuse me, I believe. Jubilee.
J2 is son of Juggernaut, or if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. So that's a $5 book. That's a #1. And this is one of the fun things now that I'm getting older and can kind of appreciate creative teams. So this is Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends, and Brett Breeding.
It doesn't get more 90s than that lineup.
It doesn't. And whatever you think about 90s books, I'm not here for it, but this is a great team. And this is like a perennial 90s book, like Jerry was saying. A-Next. All right. Jenny Hex. This came out recently. This is from the Wonder Comics imprint that DC put out, that Brian Michael Bendis was kind of taking the lead on with, excuse me, Young Justice. But this is Jenny Hex and Nick Darrington art on the front. Really cool. That's a $5 book. That's to get you into it, learn a little bit more about Jenny. Tis the Season, Silver Surfer versus Dracula. This is a one-shot, so you don't have to worry about collecting the whole series to understand where the story goes. That's a $5 book. Something spooky to drop into your candy bucket. Another Marvel Now era book. This is Winter Soldier #1. They kind of took a little bit of a noir approach a little bit with this particular series, but again, fantastically entertaining. And that's a #1. Rick Remender is the writer, so that was, I think, now, hasn't he kind of said that he's kind of done working for the big two and is just going to do his own intellectual property stuff moving forward?
That sounds correct.
Yeah.
A lot of creators say that, and sometimes creators still have bills to pay. So if you can't do it on your own, you go to Marvel or DC, and sometimes you reach out to the Hero Initiative. So
that's exactly right. Yeah. So that's a fun book. Winter Soldier #1.
All right. Jeff Smith is on. He's taken home that Silver Surfer versus Dracula.
Thank you, Jeff. Great to have you spend some time with us this afternoon. I will set that aside.
I got to see Jeff earlier today at the Elite Comics Halloween Bash. So,
right. That's fantastic. Yeah, you even posted a couple of things. Picked up some Marvel and some DC books.
I did.
The Jerry Ordway, was that the JSA?
Infinity Inc.
Infinity Inc. That's right. Yeah. You're never going to go wrong there.
Nope.
Super. So we have Starbrand #1. I mean, I'm going to be honest, like, I love the new universe, and I know that some of those books don't hold up, but I was totally on board for that whole thing and loved it, especially because I was a huge fan and continue to be of John Byrne, and he did a lot of work within this universe, including one of my favorite trade paperbacks, The Pit, which was kind of the origin story around Star Brand.
The concept of Star Brand, Jason Aaron's been using it in his current run of Avengers for the last 2 years. So,
interesting.
So it's still a character or concept in use. It's just someone else wearing the title of Star Brand right now.
I gotcha. Okay. Is it by chance? Is it a power that passes through people, kind of like what's Captain Universe?
Kind of, sort of, maybe,
but not. Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah. Very cool. Well, anyway, Star Brand #1. Might want to pick some of that up. Here's something that's near and dear to my heart. Night Force #1. Again, spooky season, but one of the reasons why this book is so important or so notable, at least to me, is that when Jerry and I first started volunteering for the Hero Initiative, it was really hard to put together an elevator pitch, because a lot of times when we first got started, a lot of the creators who were requesting assistance didn't want people to know. And so you would go out and try to, create an awareness campaign, but it was kind of hard to point and say, look, these are the people that we're helping, and you have books in your collection from them. And, and then Gene Colan agreed to make, effectively the first Hero testimonial video. And at that point, it really helped us be able to connect with people at shows and conventions and things, because we were able to speak of Gene and everything that Hero had done for him. And so it was kind of a tipping point. And so at that point, we had more people who had received assistance from Hero be willing to create testimonials and things to share their story and let people know how they could support the creator community. But regardless, we absolutely miss Gene Colan. He's an absolute legend, and this was a fun series that he and I believe Marv Wolfman were working. That's right, Marv Wolfman, and Gene Colan. And so Night Force #1, spooky season pickup.
Yeah, a lot of those testimonial videos are available out on heroinitiative.org.
Yeah, they are. And since I won't subject anyone to another attempt to try to play the video, I highly recommend it. If you're looking for them and you can't find them, send Jerry and I an email. We'd be happy to make sure that you have access to those. Okay, we have The Heckler #1, Keith Giffen. That's a pure Keith Giffen cover, and just the whole concept. DC, I think, was trying a lot of adjacent and edge of the universe books. It may be, like Jerry always constantly reminds me sometimes when I scratch my head when a series comes out, he's like, they're just protecting the trademark. There's nothing meaningful coming out of this series. But I don't think that was the case here. I think it was just an original creation that didn't really catch fire. But it's Keith Giffen, and it's The Heckler, and it's #1, and it's $5.
Doug is checking. Was the Night Force $5?
It was. Night Force is $5. Okay. I got to talking and didn't do a good job. That's a $5 book. Again, classic 90s from a daringly different domain of the Marvel Universe, the next generation of hero, Black Wolf. And it's just 90s. Like if you just need to take a vitamin and get your 96, that's exactly what you're looking for right there. It's a number one. It's $5. Marvel Now era Captain America number one. This is a pretty great team. Rick Remender again, Klaus Janson, John Romita. Those guys don't stink. They're pretty good.
Doug
So
has
that's
laid
number one.
claim to Night Force.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Doug.
I will say that that Captain America issue, that was a start of a run where it kind of had the feel and energy of the Kirby run on Captain America of the mid 1970s.
Oh yeah.
So it was a slightly different take on Captain America than what we were used to at that point.
Very cool. I'm always up for that. We have a sealed Project X book.
What's in the bag, Colin? What's in the bag?
What's in the bag? This is Simon Bisley and Kevin Eastman, and it is totally sealed. I know what's in here. If you want to look up on the interwebs what Project X is, you would definitely be able to find it. I was able to find it right away, but I don't want to spoil it. But it's pretty interesting, and it's a one-of-a-kind thing. The bag's unopened, and it's $10. Kevin Eastman, Simon Bisley, super weird team up, pretty fun book. $10. We have the second A4 series and the number one variant of that series, and it's $10. And I mean, I'm here for it. Like, I read this article and I totally believe that it was clickbait, but they were saying that the scene in Endgame where a lot of the female heroes gather together on screen at one time, that they had to tweak or reshoot that because they were taking feedback that it was quote unquote pandering. You know, whatever. People want to see themselves. People include women, and no one ever says there's too many men on the screen together. So whatever, I'm here for it. I love Marvel's female heroes, and I really enjoyed this book, just being able to pull some of them together for an adventure. So that's issue number one of the second volume. It's the variant, and it's $10. Let's go deep into the Silver Age. Ooh. Yeah, we have a Marvel Feature Presents number one. That's Red Sonja. Excuse me. And that's $15. And that is some beautiful, beautiful artwork. From the creator of Conan, back, you hordes of hell. Excuse me. $15. Marvel Feature Presents number one. Oh man, I coveted my friend's Shogun Warrior. Yeah. I loved that toy as a kid.
I think Tim Benson is putting in for the Red Sonja.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
The redheads get you every time.
Yeah, no, I know. I can't stop with that. It's been a problem. But thank you, Tim. I really do appreciate that. All right, so Shogun Warriors, number one. This is a $5 book. It's a 70s, early 80s book. And I'll be honest, like I was saying, I loved my friend's Shogun Warrior. They did like a variant several years back where they created like a Boba Fett that was shaped and the size of one of the Shogun Warriors and had the shooting fists. It was awesome. But this is the original Shogun Warriors number one. It's a $5 book. We were speaking earlier about some Jerry Ordway. We have The Power of Shazam number one. Probably gonna, see a lot more of that character with Black Adam coming out very soon. So always love the Shazam family, but Yeah.
And
Jerry,
they've got a second Shazam movie planned as well.
yeah, that's right. Exactly. So we're going to get more of that. So yeah, so beautiful Jerry Ordway art, number 1, Power of Shazam, $5. I hope Bill Schmidt's still here. He's the one that always gives us the call back. This is Deathlock number 1. The artist is Mike Perkins.
Mike Perkins?
Mike Perkins.
Mike Perkins.
It is Mike Perkins. This is Deathlock number 1, and we're giant fans of Mike Perkins, and this is perfect Mike Perkins art. Super fan of Mike Perkins. At the $5 book, Deathlock number 1. Black Kiss by Howard Chaykin, number 1. This is a $5 book. This is really, you know, Chaykin and the Peonies and our friend Phil Hester. You know, the mid to late 80s was really a dynamic time in the black and white comic market with publishers like Comico and people like Matt Wagner and the Pander brothers doing Grendel, things of that nature. These books were amazing. Howard Chaykin was a big part of that black and white movement. And this is Black Kiss number 1 from Mr. Chaykin.
I'm surprised that this is even in the auction.
So juicy, so delicious. I don't even know where to start. You have the Silver Centurion armor. Like, stop right there. You have sleeveless Simon Wonder Man here. You get Tigra, you get Mockingbird, you get Clint in his long sleeve, long pant leg Hawkeye outfit. Just absolutely gorgeous. One of the highlights of my early comic collecting career. I just loved the story so much.
That is issue number 1 of volume 2, which was the start of the ongoing series that ran for 102 issues.
Correct.
And Jim McLean is correct. Black Kiss, not an all ages book.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I should say that. Yeah, if you're under 21 and watching this live stream, we're not going to be able to sell the book to you. I don't know how many of you that would apply to, but it is true. Black Kiss is pretty spicy. What is not spicy but still delicious is this West Coast Avengers. Absolutely. It's number 1. It's a $5 book. Power Pack. I want to publicly take back all of the mocking that I did of Jerry. He's right.
For
I
decades.
Did. Yes,
decades.
I agree. It was horrible. I shouldn't have done it. I feel horrible about it. And I won't do it again because Power Pack's awesome. Yeah. June Brigman is amazing. I love her work. You know, this is a fun book. This is get you started on the ride. They've, I think, grown up and then reverted back to early teen years and maybe grown up again over the last 30 years. But this gets you started.
Yep. Louise Simonson writing that. And we'll also give a plug to friends of the show. Rick and Jeff present Unpacking the Power of Power Pack. Great podcast. They are doing the Lord's work over there. Speaking of Lord's work, Jeff Smith is claiming West Coast Avengers number 1.
Thank you, Jeff. Absolutely. All right. These next several books, super excited to share them with you. So I love to pick up like oddball comics, things that aren't going to get reprinted, you know, just to kind of hold them in my hand, right? It's, I don't know, they're like little museum pieces. And so I came across this series of books, the Superhero Merchandise Catalog, and it's basically this book that has been put together that retailers would get that would allow them to look at Mego action figures and toy sets and things of that nature based off of the Marvel properties. And so I've got several of these And they're $5 a piece. There's this one. Here's this one with quite a bit of Joe Kubert art. Same thing here. And the cool thing about them is that if you loved opening up the JCPenney or Sears Christmas books, the catalogs around Christmas, and you went, excuse me, straight to the toy section, that's what this is, except it's drawn by Joe Kubert and others. And so highly recommend them. If you're interested, they're $5 a piece. They have similar products within all 5 of them. So there isn't anything that's really going to differentiate one from the other, but it is a super fun little snapshot in time. And I just know looking at the toys will send you, excuse me, send you on a time travel trip. All right, excuse me. So next, I don't know if you've been keeping up, but Atlas Comics about 2 years ago made a big splash because somebody came in and bought all the intellectual property. Probably like everybody, they're going to try to create some sort of world or sell it to Netflix or Hulu. But this is one of the number ones from the Atlas Publishing House, The Grim Ghost. It's spooky season. It's $5. It's a number one. You should think about it. It's pretty good. Gen 13, number one. It's your 90s, it's your cheese, it's your pockets, it's everything. It's J. Scott Campbell at probably the height of his popularity. And, you know, quite honestly, I was collecting, I think, all of the Image books for a long time, and this was one of them. And I just thought it was really great. If I remember correctly, earlier this year, we were giving away some books on our podcast, and the issue 13 of the Heroes Return series from Marvel, none of those were able to be collected and republished because they actually crossed over with Image properties, and so you can't collect them. But Gen 13 was one of the books and some of the characters that had crossed over in that. But this is their own book, Gen 13, issue 1. It's a $5 book.
Tim Benson has claimed Grim Ghost.
Oh, thank you, Tim. We'll set that aside. Interesting thing about that, check out the cool cover. That's Ernie Colon.
Mm-hmm.
Not too bad. Not too bad. When the comic industry was about to crash, some of the coolest, most fun books that we could ever ask for started to be produced. I loved the Amalgam series. Loved what Marvel and DC did with that. Here's Spider-Boy number 1. That's a $5 book. I think, Jerry, you had just said after one of your last road trips, didn't you just finish your Amalgam run?
I did. I'm quite happy about that, too.
Yeah, that was super fun. All right, Spider-Boy number 1. That's a $5 book. I had picked this up. This is kind of a fairly recent one. It's Harley Quinn, the Valentine's Day special. I really loved it because it has an Amanda Connor and Dave Johnson cover. Amanda doing, I believe she's doing Harley, and Dave Johnson is doing Batman. Super fun read. It's a number 1. It's the variant, and it's $10.
Just to answer Doug, Power of Shazam, it's just number 1. That was $5.
Yep, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
We were just speaking of Louise Simonson, Superman, Man of Steel, number 1. Also with Mr. Ordway, Tom Grummett, Dan Jurgens, Brett Breeding, Bob McLeod. Again, it's a late 80s, early 90s who's who of creators on this particular book. When I looked at this cover, I always was like, I'll be honest, I was like, why does he look angry? Why is he mad? And I guess maybe he's determined. I don't know. To me, that seemed like the first time I ever saw Superman not looking Superman-y. I don't remember him ever being angry like that. But I do love that cover. I love the creative team. This is, again, another little history book because I'm pretty sure that those two things in the background are the World Trade Center towers, trying to mix up a little New York and Gotham feel maybe, or Metropolis, I guess. Anyway, that's Superman Man of Steel, #1, 5 bones. And then, yes, Rebels, 94. I believe this was John, our friend John had said that this was a backup or a replacement for Legion for a very short period of time. And so I think for our fans out there, again, Dave Johnson cover. If you're not familiar with Dave, he did a lot of work for DC. He's kind of a legend as well. But yeah, some classic 90s stuff here. Nice Green Lantern. That's Kyle Rayner, right? With his big beefy mask. That's Rebels 94, #1. That's a $5 book. Hey, in the Marvel universe, there's a few characters, heroes who hail from New Jersey. One of them, I believe, is Miss Marvel. Kamala, I think, is a New Jerseyite. But I was just wondering, do you know who else is from New Jersey? Do you have any other guesses? No?
Not offhand.
Well, I'm gonna
Please
help
tell.
you. It's the Toxic Avenger.
Nice.
And you might ask yourself, how do you know he's from New Jersey? Because it says he's from New Jersey. And that's a $25 book. It's #1. It's a Toxic Avenger. It's your New Jersey superhero. It's $25. Can you really go without it? Kind of like New Jersey. Maybe. Oh boy, hold on to your butts. Kicker's #1. Right? This is it. And look at these outfits. That's pretty great. New universe title. It's a #1. It's $5. We were talking about this book the other day, Starman #1. This is the James Robinson, Tony Harris creation. What an amazing series. Kind of changed the dynamic for me about what was going on in some of the non-Big Three world of DC. And quite honestly, I had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Robinson at Planet Comic-Con several years ago and got to tell him that after my younger sister had passed away, I had come across his book, and several years into the series, he had started once a year. They would have a single issue where he would talk with his brother David.
Conversations with David. That's what it was. That's what I was thinking. Thank you. And so the issue would be almost entirely in black and white, and it would be him having a conversation with his brother. And so I got to tell James, how meaningful that was to me, and what an interesting, way to try to deal with grief and remain connected to those. And anyway, it was a great conversation around the table. So anyway, Starman #1, James Robinson, Tony Harris. It's a classic. That's a $10 book. Adventures in the DC Universe, #1. This, basically was following
in the footsteps of the Batman animated series, and kind of gave us an opportunity to see a lot of these characters in the Batman animated series sort of motif or style, but really enjoyed it. Super. I think it lasted quite a while, at least like 3 years, 4 years, maybe.
I'm thinking 2 years.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
this
it was a great
particular
book.
title. I mean, because
Yeah.
there was also a Justice League Unlimited title that you may be thinking of as well.
Oh, I got you for sure.
This was
For
kind of
sure.
more like standalone stories
Gotcha.
featuring different combinations of characters.
The one and dones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe that's a good reason to revisit that series. Okay, well, that's a $5 book. We've got a more recent book, one of the newer creators to the hobby. He's been around about a decade. Chris Samney. He and his, I think it's, I can't remember who the inker is on this and the colors, but anyway, Jonna and the Impossible Monsters. It's been a big hit, been selling really well in the shops. It's a #1 from Oni Press, and it's a $5 book. Free Comic Book Day edition of March. Probably don't need to go into a lot of detail. I really believe in this book. The entire series is amazing. The late John Lewis directly contributed and worked with Andrew Aiden and Nate Powell to create this story. There's 2 follow-up books that came after that. One after Mr. Lewis had passed away, I believe that's Run, which just came out, I think, earlier this year. But this is the Free Comic Book Day release. You can see them there on the Pettus Bridge. And it's March. It's $5. Look at the color palette on that baby. Beautiful. Cole the Conqueror. That is a lot of hot pink right there. And it's awesome. I really don't know a lot about Cole other than the fact that he's not Conan. And he also does a lot of things without his shirt on. So, you know, who knows? But I think it's a super cool looking book. It's Cole the Conqueror #1. Now, this next book, I'm not going to take out of the bag, but ForceWorks #1 has a fold out cover that is everything 90s, but really cool, really interesting take on this particular team. Again, it's the extreming of a lot of our hero teams and our characters, but we really loved it. ForceWorks #1, don't forget, it's got a fold out front cover, and it's a $5 book. Next is Hardware. That's #1. That's from the original series, and that's a $10 book. Again, hope you're picking up the new stuff. Reggie Hudlin, Dennis Cowan, Chris Cross, they're all contributing and bringing new energy to the series. Super pumped about it. This is from the original volume. It's Hardware #1, $10.
Hey, Colin.
Hey, Jer.
If I could just make a suggestion, maybe we could maybe jump over to some of the autograph puts for a little bit. I think that.
Sure.
I think there's people online interested in those, and it's not that they're not interested in the books you've been sharing, but I think there's some people anxious to see what kind of goodies you've scored there in the Portland area.
Well, sure. Be happy to do that. So we can start off with Young Justice #1, the variant cover signed by Amy Reeder. That's a $10 book. Jerry had picked up at Planet Comic-Con this Twig preview signed by Scotty Young and Kyle Strom. That's a $10 book. My Little Pony, #1, signed by artist Agnes Garbowska. My Little Pony, very cool.
Jeff Smith is going to take the twig.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Savage from Valiant, #1, signed by B. Clay Moore. This is a variant on this particular #1. B. Clay Moore's autograph is there at the top. This series was basically a intellectual property creation that B. Clay did for Valiant. My understanding is that the most recent Savage series harkens back to this, but doesn't absolutely take everything that happened in it and moved it forward. It's not a retcon, but just a newer chapter in that particular series.
Ryan Perry is going to take the Young Justice book.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Thank you. We'll set that aside. All right, this is a really cool book. So this is The Realm, and this is the variant. It's #1. It's the New York Comic Con variant, and it is Andrew McLean art, and it is signed by both Seth Peck and Jeremy Hahn. And it's a $20 book, and it's freaking cool. We have Pretty Deadly Volume 1, signed by Kelly Sue DeConnick. It's a gorgeously drawn book. Emma Rios is the artist, and I really loved it. And the first Comic-Con that I went to after this came out, I actually rode the Blue Line into the city, and there was 2 people dressed up as these characters. I thought that was really neat. So Pretty Deadly, #1, signed by Kelly Sue DeConnick. You're the Villain, Sinestro, #1, signed by Mark Russell. I mean, we're huge fans of Mark's. Everything that he writes and does has some social relevance to it, societal relevance to it, and this Sinestro book is no different. It's an amazing read. Mark marks it up and makes you think a lot differently about Sinestro, even if it is just for a one-shot. So really loved it. Sinestro, You're the Villain, #1, signed by Mark Russell. The Spectre, #1, signed by Ryan Sook, who was a guest of ours at the Hero Initiative table here in Rose City several years ago during the kickoff for the Legion series he was doing with Brian Michael Bendis. Amazing artist, and his autograph is there on the cover. Spectre, #1. Thanks to Comic Shop on the Vancouver side of the river from us is I Like Comics. Chris Simon runs that shop, and he had an opportunity to host the original creators that started Image. And while Todd McFarlane was there, I went ahead and had him sign a Spawn #1. We'd like to ask $50 for that today. It's $50 for a Spawn #1 signed by Todd McFarlane.
Now you got to tell the full story. Didn't you get all the way through the line and then remembered that you had stuff to get autographed?
Well, so what was happening is they had given away this print that had these fractals, and there was a spot for each of the creators. And at the time, McFarlane said when the line first started, he was only going to sign one thing. And some of the other guys said they do 2, but McFarlane was very much about he would only sign one thing. And so I didn't have him sign the poster. I had him sign this.
Okay.
And then somebody was like, well, we're not going to have Todd sign anything. So if you want to go get, your poster, we'll have him sign that for you. And so anyway, it was a little bit of a thing, but we got it on there. So the good news is we have a Spawn #1 signed by Todd McFarlane.
The great news is, friend of the show Josh Thomas has claimed Spawn #1.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it, buddy. That means a lot. All right, that's good. So we'll keep rolling then. Let's get here. This is the Lois Lane variant, Lois Lane #1, signed by Greg Rucka. He's been, Greg has kind of operated on the street level side of DC for years with, what was the procedural? Gotham
Central.
Gotham Central. And then from there has just kind of worked that side, both for the Batman family and for Superman. So this is Lois Lane, #1 variant, signed by Greg Rucka, $10. That's $10.
Mm-hmm.
This is really neat. So when I first moved up here and was getting to know a lot of the comic shop owners around town, got to meet Doug O'Laughlin, who had Comic Cave PDX, and a friend of his that he had gone to high school with in Napa, Tom Beeland, who was a Spider-Man artist for Marvel, had done some work for them. He had an opportunity to do a variant for, I believe this is the 3rd volume of Black Panther, and this is his variant signed by himself. Super neat.
Josh is going to take the Lois Lane.
Okay, thank you again.
And it is a great cover.
It is a great cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next book that we had when we were hosting Ryan Sook at the table, it was kind of an embarrassment of riches sort of weekend. We also had Liam Sharp sitting with us at the same time. And so we have the black and white variant edition of the Green Lantern series that he did with Grant Morrison. And it is signed by Liam right there. That's his Liam Sharp autograph. It was a really, really cool series and really gave Liam an opportunity to use a lot of different styles to tell the story.
Hey, Colin, how much was the Black Panther?
Black Panther is $10.
Okay.
'90s era, if you're familiar with Larry Stroman, he and Todd Johnson did a book through Image called Tribe, and this is signed by both of them, Todd and Larry.
Yeah.
And that's a $10 book.
Looks like we've got interest from both Barry and Carl on the Black Panther. Carl is the first one to say claim with the Panther. So not to take away from Barry, I'm leaning towards giving that to Carl at this point.
All right, well, I'll let you and Barry thumb wrestle for it if there's still issues after the show.
Carl's going to take it.
Okay. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Barry.
Congratulations, Carl, on your new opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Super happy for you. All right, so the next thing we've got, I don't know if you heard, but Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen won the Eisner this year. And I have Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber's autograph on the front cover of this variant. That's a $20 book. $20 for the variant. Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal #1, signed by both Steve Lieber and Matt Fraction.
And I believe I had that Eisner win call.
You did. You did.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Savage Dragon #1, signed by Eric Larson. He's been restarting his series Ant most recently. I really respect just Eric's longevity and his continuance to work on his own intellectual property. Some folks dig it, some folks don't, but I fell in love with his work when he was doing Spider-Man early on with Marvel. Just thought that it was super unique. It wasn't a Ditko ape, but it was lived somewhere between Ditko and Kirby. And I really think that he's a really great storyteller. So Savage Dragon #1, signed by Eric Larson. We have another Mark Russell book. This is Red Sonja. I know that for me personally, for a long time, Red Sonja, Vampirella, books like that, it wasn't that, you know, they weren't titillating or interesting. There wasn't a story or a person that I knew that was into these particular stories that convinced me to pick one up. But then Mark Russell picked one up, and I started writing for it. And as always, he takes a totally different angle. And while it is visually full of cheese, the story behind it is significantly more important, as it were. But Red Sonja, #1, signed by Mark Russell. Sex Criminals, #1, signed by Matt Fraction. I think they've had a couple breaks, and then a special.
One extended break. They came back. They wrapped up the series, including a special issue #69.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly
right. And as Jim will be quick to point out, again, not an all ages book.
Very much so. That's very true. We should have after hours flame sale with all spicy books. All right, that's Sex Criminals #1, signed by Mr. Fraction. Excalibur #1, signed by Teenie Howard. Super great writer. So fun. I got to sit across from her at Rose City this past year, and she gets it. Like, it is fun to watch any creator like get excited about talking about a series. But she couldn't stop talking about Excalibur. I was so happy to get to spend some time with her. So that's Excalibur #1, signed by Teenie. Ninjak, or Ninja K, signed by Jeff Parker. This is the relaunch from Valiant. I talked to Jeff at Rose City when I got him to sign this, and he told me that in this series, he will put to rest the official way to pronounce this character's name, whether it's Ninja K or Ninjak. So I don't know. It's up to you to decide for now, but Jeff Parker signed Ninjak is #1, is $10, and it's #1. I learned something new when looking up this book. This is signed by Jim Valentino, but I did not know Rob Liefeld did the cover art. So pretty interesting thing. I really love this book. This is a 90s era book. Sort of I don't think coming of age story is a good way to describe it, but it was a story about people dealing with AIDS. And when this came out, it was unlike anything else that was really on the newsstands or at our local comic shop, and really applaud Jim getting out there and putting that out.
Hey, couple of questions. I believe both Excalibur and the Savage Dragon were $10 each.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. I have the Mighty Thor 338. Going to be honest with you, it's in a little rough shape. It's missing a part of the cover here, but it's also signed by Walt Simonson. So I'm going to go ahead, even though it's pretty undervalued, but it's got quite a bit of damage, but it's got Uncle Walt on it. It's a $10 book. We're asking $10 for it. You'll have a signed book from Uncle Walt in your collection. And I got to be honest, kind of love that cover. I think that's pretty neat. And it's got our boy Beta on it.
Barry Poole has taken Excalibur.
Okay. Thank you, Barry. super cool book with multiple autographs on it. It's Harlequin 69, and it's a variant by Frank Cho, and it's actually signed by Frank and Mark Russell, who is the writer. That's a $20 book. Mark Russell, Frank Cho, Harlequin 69, the variant. $20.
We've got Jeff Smith claiming Thor and Carl Smith claiming Savage Dragon.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Carl. All right, super. Let's go ahead and bring this big boy up. So this was another book that I had a difficult time determining what the actual version was. There's approximately 8 or 10 different copies of ElfQuest #1. I believe that this is the 4th, and that this is also signed by Richard and Wendy Peeney. So not knowing that, I would go ahead and ask $10 for this book. And again, double autographed by Richard and Wendy Peeney. It's ElfQuest #1.
Tim Benson will take home ElfQuest.
Thank you, Tim. All right. Had an opportunity. Teenie Howard was sitting on one side and Stephanie Phillips was sitting on the other, the new writer for Harley Quinn. So this is, I thought, one of the cooler variants, and I have Stephanie's autograph on it. That's a $10 book, Harley Quinn #1. Had Amy Reeder go ahead and sign Amethyst #1. This is her version and the first issue of the series, and I thought it was awesome. I thought that she did an amazing job, not only capturing the energy of the series from the 80s, but then putting some new spins on it, and really appreciated the fact that she and Brian Michael Bendis brought this character into the Wonder Comics realm for a while and part of Young Justice. That's signed by Amy Reeder. Here's a super neat variant, Future Quest, that's signed up in the corner by Jeff Parker and Doc Shaner. There's Doc, there's Jeff. It's Future Quest #1, and that's a $20 book, the coloring book variant cover.
Yeah, we had a message from Carl asking about the new universe. We've showed a couple of them earlier. I don't think anyone has claimed them. There was a Star Brand, there was a Kickers. Was there any other ones or just those two?
Just those two so far.
Okay.
All right. This is Creature from the Black Lagoon, signed by Art Adams. That's the cover is Art Adams and signed by Art. It's spooky season. That's just a $10 book. And a great Creature of the Black Lagoon. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Also had an opportunity to see James Tynion IV come through Portland. So we picked up a Punchline #1 variant signed by Mr. Tynion IV, and that's a $10 book. American Flag #1, signed by Howard Chaykin. I believe, if I have the story correct, that shortly after American Flag had launched, there was either a New York City comic book convention or maybe it was San Diego, but Howard shared a table for a panel with Mr. Eisner, and Mr. Eisner flippantly referred to Howard as a fascist based on what he had seen just from the covers of American Flag, which of course then sent Mr. Chaykin into fit, and he had to correct the record. But this is the book that started that conversation, American Flag #1, signed by Howard Chaykin, or Howie if you're nasty.
Yeah. Hey, we've got some conversations going on in the thread. Doug was asking about the Art Adams Creature from the Black Lagoon. How much was that one, Colin?
$10.
$10. For Ryan Perry has claimed the Punchline.
Okay. Thank
And
you,
Carl
Ryan.
Smith has said he will take any of the New Universe books that have been unclaimed.
Okay. All right. I'll pull those out in just a moment. I just noticed on the Creature from the Black Lagoon that Art Adams does the pencils and Terry Austin is doing the inks. That's not too shabby. Here was a fun one. It's a double autograph. It's Red Sonja and Vampirella meet Betty and Veronica. And
the team up that America has been demanding for years.
Exactly. And double signed by Dan Parent and Amy Chu. So that's super fun. Highly recommended. They were both super great to talk to. One of my favorite late 80s, early 90s era artists who has unfortunately passed away was Norm Breyfogle. And here is an Ultraverse Origins #1, signed by Norm. That's a $10 book.
Doug is going to take the Creature from the Black Lagoon book.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. We have a Uncanny Avengers #1, signed by John Cassaday. Not too shabby. Rick Remender. Remender really left his fingerprints all over Marvel in the early aughts, didn't he? For sure. All right. This is Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man #300, and it's a Mopop variant. Mopop is a museum up in Seattle, hence the needle on the cover. And the variant artwork is done by Jeffrey Vareg, and it's a $25 book. Captain America #6, signed by Mark Waid. It's a $10 book.
And again, all of this is to benefit the Hero Initiative. Mark Waid has been doing a lot of stuff for Hero over the years. He's also involved with Talent Talk. I know he's got a talk coming up in a couple of weeks to kind of go over the writing process. So if there's anyone interested in that, we can pass along that information.
Absolutely. Superboy #4, double signed by Carl Kiesel and Tom Grummett. That's another creative team that's got the 90s all over it. Love that team. Fantastic Four, signed by Art Adams, with the most unusual collection of heroes to make up the Fantastic Four. This unfortunately does not have the gratuitous Punisher cameo where he flies by in the Punisher plane as the heroes are standing, I think, on an island. But this book, signed by Art Adams, is $10.
A couple of notes from this. Carl is claiming the Captain America.
Okay.
Tim Benson is asking if we've got any complete sets being offered up today. And the answer to that is yes. And I do have plans to bind Amalgam whenever you're back in the binding business, Tim.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Okay, fantastic. This was a fun one. This is Flash 750, signed by Nick Darrington here on the cover. That's a $20 book. Oh, this was cool. So these two books, similar but different. So Planet Comic-Con had a variant exclusive that Doug Monk did, one with trade dress and one with not. The one with trade dress is $30 and the one without is $50. $30, $50. Detective Comics 1000, signed by Monk. Mankey?
Yeah.
Is it Monk? Is the horror
Doug.
writer from the
Yeah.
70s? Doug.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And speaking of Doug's, Doug O'Laughlin is going to claim the FF from Art Adams.
All right. Thank you, Doug. So happy that you're here. All right, that's pulled aside. Okay. This next book, so this is Dead Rabbit. It's double signed by Jerry Dugan, who's the writer, and the artist, John McCrae. If you're not familiar with this title, it started off as Dead Rabbit, which is a story about a gentleman who had been in the organized crime family and managed to get out. But as stories go, his wife needed some medical attention. He didn't have a way to pay for it. And so he decided to take on some odd jobs to try to make that happen. Well, as they were getting the series going and it was building momentum, then they were served, Image was served with a cease and desist from a restaurant in New York City called Dead Rabbit. And excuse me, they were suing and sending the cease and desist because Dead Rabbit, the restaurant, created a menu to list all their items and had a character, the Dead Rabbit, who would go on this adventure through the cartoon menu. And so it was enough to force them to have to stop selling the book and rebrand it as Dead Eyes, which are the X's on the mask that the character wears. So this is a book that Image had requested from retailers to be brought back and pulped, but we have a copy of it. It's, again, double signed by John McCrae and Jerry Dugan. It's Dead Rabbit #1, and it's $25. We'll dip once more into the Image world. Cyberforce #1, autographed up near the top. And that is, that's Mr. Silvestri. And that's a $10 book. While Mr. Tinian was in town, the other book that I had him sign was, to the best of my knowledge, his first work for DC, Talon #1. It's signed right there underneath the logo. And for those that listen to our podcast, we've been talking a lot about Guillaume March, who is the artist currently on the Joker series. He also had done a series for Image called Carmen. And this is some of his first work, along with Mr. Tinian's Talon #1 from DC. Super interesting trade. This collects the first few issues of the New Mutants. What's interesting about it now, this is a 6th printing, but because of the way it's printed and the run count and things like that, it actually has a higher value. But what's cool about this today is I have it signed by both Bob McLeod and inside Chris Claremont. So this is a $30 book. The New Mutants, $30, double autographed. And I didn't know this till I started doing research. That's actually an Art Adams cover. which doesn't look like Art Adams, but they credit him. So that's a $30 book, and it's double autographed, Bob McLeod and Chris Claremont. Captain Marvel #1. I think this is volume 3, maybe volume 4, and it's signed by Kelly Sue DeConnick, and it's a $40 book. Higher, further, faster.
Mm-hmm.
And then something that we're all going to get an opportunity to take part in very soon with the launch of the Hawkeye series, we're going to get to meet Pizza Dog. And this is the issue that debuts Pizza Dog, signed by Matt Fraction, and it's $25. And then because I just love it when naughty fanboys get salty, want to make sure that everyone sees we have the Mockingbird issue where you can ask her about her feminist agenda. Chelsea Kane signed that, and it's a $20 book.
Hey, Colin.
Hey, Jer.
We got about 30 minutes left. Do we maybe want to jump into some of the sets? See if we can't get more of Tim Benson's money?
We do. Is it really only 30 minutes? Holy cow, time flies when you're having a good time. Thanks, everybody. All right. So that quivering in your digital wallet is because of some of the books that we're getting ready to present now. So some of these sets will just be 2 issues, and some of these sets will be a few more. But these are signed sets. I have some unsigned sets that we're going to get to in a moment, but these are the autograph sets.
Hey,
so
real quick. Barry Poole will take Mockingbird, and Carl Smith will take Hawkeye.
Done and done. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Both issues, double signed, Convergence Shazam, signed by Jeff Parker and Doc Shaner. That's issues 1 and 2, full story. Convergence 1 and 2, double signed, Doc Shaner, Jeff Parker. If you pick this next set, I will send you, I know you'll be aware, issue 5 comes out in a week and a half, but we will send the whole set to you. But this is from one of our new favorite publishers, AWA, and this is Frank Cho's Fight Girls, with the first issue signed by Frank, and you'll get issues 1 through 5, and that's $25. Fight Girls 1 through 5, $25. This next set is signed on all 4 books. It's Ryan Sook from the series The 7 Soldiers, and this is the 4-issue Zatanna series. And all 4 of these books are signed. And again,
what was the? I'm sorry. What was the price on the Convergence Shazam?
My apologies. $20.
Okay.
I have the first 6 issues, which would comprise the first trade of Cyborg, with the first issue signed by David Walker, and that's a $20 set.
What was the Zatanna price?
That's a $20 set.
Okay. Jim McLean has taken the Convergence Shazam.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Let me grab it real quick. Okay, super. All right. So stay with me on this next one. So I have a complete set of Stray Dogs, including the free comic book day set issue. Now, here's the deal. Issue 1 that I have, this is the second printing. This printing is actually worth more than any of the other printings from issue 1. It's a $30 value right now. So that's the second printing, number 1. And then the next thing I wanted to show you, the rest of these are all first printing books. And number 3 is the other variant. So first issue is second printing, signed, and this series is, the first issue is signed by Tony Fleeks. It's right here, AMF. So it's issue 1, it's the entire set through 5, plus the free comic book day issue, and we're asking $75. $75 for the set. The next set that we have, not autographed, is Truth. It's the full set, issues 1 through 7. They're in great shape, and we're asking $200. Truth 1 through 7, very good shape, $200. All of it goes to the Hero Initiative. Also want to toss out just real quick, everyone who stayed on for so long, we're so appreciative. We just want to remind you, we're picking up the shipping. So your donation is your donation. There's no hidden fees, and we're not going to ask you to pay on the back end. What you commit to donate to Hero is the sum and total of it, and we'll put the rest of these in the mail. All right, that was Truth. Red, White, and Black, issues 1 through 7, $200.
2 quick reminders. Doug is pointing out that you are using your middle finger a lot when you're pointing out items on the cover. So remember that we've got friends on the viewing and bidding on stuff. And then I'm going to put a link in the chat window to our Facebook fundraiser page. We've been doing this fundraiser. We actually met our goal last night of $1,000. That doesn't mean that we're stopping yet. It goes until tomorrow night. We are really hoping that if you're bidding on stuff, that you can go ahead and make your donation on that page within the next 24 hours so we can count it towards our goal. Because it's not just getting to the $1,000 mark, it's also beating the pants off the Technically Drinking podcast that we're really hoping for at this point. So
yeah, I kind of buried the lead there. Thanks, Jerry. So just real quick. So every year and a half, about 18 months, a friend of ours, Vince Vaughn, not that Vince Vaughn, loses his mind and challenges us to a fundraiser for Hero. Now, at the end of the day, it's all good because we're just making money for Hero. But it's a competition, and Vince likes to bring the heat. So we have definitely, and the thing is that Vince suggested that if he were to get to $1,000 and we were not, that we would have to be, he would be our daddy.
We'd have to go on his podcast and proclaim that he was our daddy. Yeah.
Right. Now, we have not done anything like that. We have not leveled in. I'm going to be honest, we were so
confident. Record
speaks
for itself.
Exactly. So, and that's because of all of you who are our friends who don't challenge us like that. And we love you for that. So anyway, so this is not only helping Hero, but you're also giving us an opportunity to kick a man for making a mistake. And we really appreciate that, especially when it comes to Vince. So anyway, we're so grateful for everything you've done. So, all right.
We got 2 more sales. Don Leibold is taking both Zatanna and Fight Girls.
Don
is going to have a big box of books coming his way in November.
I love it. All right. We'll set those aside. Thank you so much, Don. All right. here's some juicy golden age stuff. Now, keep me honest. This Mockingbird series, or sorry, Secret Six, is that still within golden age, or is that more atomic age?
That's going to be Silver Age.
Is it? Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
60s,
that was a late 60s book.
Yeah, okay. That's super fair. Well, this particular series, super cool. So not only does it have, according to the price guides, this might be the first appearance of Mockingbird in this series, but I don't think that the character that they present here is the one that we kind of have come to know. But the price guides refer to it as a series that Mockingbird debuts in. One of the cool things about this 7-issue series is that this cover is actually like the first page of the story, which is really unique. And I really thought that when I opened it up and started to read it, that was a great little hook. And so this particular series, I'm going to ask $40 for the 7-issue series.
Just confirming the price here, Colin, for Dawn, Zatanna and Fight Girls, did that total 45?
It did.
It was 25 for Fight Girls and 20 for Zatanna.
Yep. Okay, super. Thanks. Okay, so that exhausts our autographs. So if you were sticking around for autographs, I still have some unautographed complete sets, and I'll start to rip through those. But if you're here for autographs, that's, unless we have time to get to our prints, that's all of our autographed comic stuff for today. So let's go through and we'll take a look at the last couple unautographed sets that we have, and then start to wrap this thing up. When I picked this up, I could have sworn originally that was John Byrne art. It's not. It's Gray Morrow, and it totally threw me for a loop, and I couldn't figure out if Gray was aping Byrne or Byrne was aping Gray. But this is a really super fun 2-issue limited series, Lois Lane, and I highly recommend it. It's super fun. And then, as you can see, this is an Alpha Flight family, and one of the great 2-issue sets that I love dearly is X-Men and Alpha Flight 1 and 2. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that Loki. He is buff. Look at the sandbags on him. He's awesome. Anyway, X-Men and Alpha Flight, issues 1 and 2. That's just a $10 set. That's $10. The 3-issue series of the Dakotaverse Long Hot Summer. It does have, I hope you at home can see that awesome cover. Long Hot Summer, the milestone event. That's 3 issues and it's $10.
Jim McLean is taking X-Men Alpha Flight.
Thank you, Jim. And before I put them away, I just want everyone to take an opportunity to look at the corner box art. Just take it in. My goodness. All right. Get those set aside for Jim. Thanks. And all right, so that may be our full set, although I did put this one together. It's kind of got a variation on a theme. I kind of referred to it in my head as the analog DC bundle. So if you want me to split these out, I'd consider it, but I was trying to kind of marry them all together. So we have issue 1, Wonder Woman 77. The Batman 89 movie adaptation. Superboy, the comic book, with art by our friend Ty Templeton. We love him. We're pulling for him. The Swamp Thing annual with the movie adaptation. Batman 66 #1 signed by Jeff Parker. Superman 78 #1 signed by Doc Shaner. And I'm asking $40 for that set. If you're interested in it, it's the the analog DC set. Super interesting. I'll be honest, I don't know why I didn't include it, but I also have the Flash TV series to go with that from the 90s. So that whole set there is available. I have the 5.
Jim McClain is going to take the DC books there.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Jim. I will get all of those set aside, including the Flash. I had mentioned earlier Heroes Return. I think I must have set one of them down, so I'm not going to present that one quite yet. I don't know if you're familiar with these. I was able to pick up some of them from comic shops around Portland and complete my run, but there was a series called the First Issue Specials, and they include Manhunter, the Dingbats of Danger Street, Metamorpho, the Green Team, Atlas, Return of the New Gods, Codename Assassin, the good one's coming, Starman, that's like one of the iterations, Dr. Fate, that's a pretty cool cover.
Isn't that a Walt Simonson issue?
Well, let's just take the time.
I'll look it up. You keep going.
Okay. Joe Kubert did the art on the cover.
Yeah.
That may be one of the reasons why. Of course, my love for Batman the Outsiders is what caused me to originally pick this up. These Outsiders don't have anything to do with the early 80s Outsiders, but still a very fun read. Oh Mama, The Lost World of Warlord, deliciousness. Believe that, yeah, Creeper, delicious. And then, oh, what have I done? So the one that I'm missing is Lady Cop. I don't know where it is, but I know that that issue is here. So that entire set, I'm only asking $40. And I'll make sure that Lady Cop gets in there. Those are all #1s, and it's collected as a series, the First Issue Special. And then the last thing that I have, it's fairly new as far as sets. You'll get Berserker issues 1 through 6, all foil covers, not autographed, but a cool, fun book. And I really love Ron Garney, and think he's done an amazing job converting his art through the years, and has done a great job on Berserker.
Jim McClain has taken the First Issue Special bundle.
Okay.
Don, thank you for coming out today. And yes, if you're not a member of the Comic Book Panel Facebook group, please join. We have a lot of great discussions out there, and Don and his crew up there in Milwaukee help host monthly events that they do both in person as well as online. So, or at least they did online for a while. It's more in person, I think, at this point, but they do things to engage those that are not in Milwaukee's in the Milwaukee area.
Yeah, can't speak highly enough. Dawn does a great job of moderating that group, and all of their conversation topics are super entertaining. So definitely check them out. And then I think outside of what you can see up here, the number ones, I really just have a big pile of shiny happy things, and happy to run through those. Most of these are going to be $5 books. So we can zip through them. For those of you who are still here, you can shout out if you want them, but we'll go ahead and I'll show them to you real quick. Wild Star number 1. What if number 50? Cool cover. That's a $5 book. Lady Death, you say? 90s era chromium covers, you say? $5. Incredible Hulk 400 with the leader. $5. Look at all the shiny on that baby. Dark Guard, number 1, $5.
I don't think I've ever seen that book before.
Really?
Yeah.
No one wants it. I might send it to you.
All right.
Clandestine, number 1. That's good. Venom, Lethal Protector, number 1. That's a $5 book. I know. $5. Fantastic Force.
Still shiny.
Yeah. Still shiny. Yeah. Spider-Man 26. Look at that. You can see the hologram. I'm totally nailing it. That's a $5 book. How about a Mark Teixeira Ghost Rider cover that glows in the dark? $5. Generation X. That's some Chris Bacalo, I believe, art. Pretty awesome. With the super disgusting hero skin right there. Fantastic Four, $3.99. Kind of has the shiny aspect with the James Bond looking through the barrel of the gun at the Watcher, $5.
Yeah. And we need to set aside Venom, and we'll figure out a way. On one screen, I see Barry chimed in first ahead of Josh. On the other screen, I see Josh chimed in ahead of Barry. So we might have to Indian leg wrestle for that.
Okay.
We'll get it figured out.
Absolutely.
And Carl Smith is going to take the Ghost Rider.
Okay. All right. Super. I flew too close to the sun. All right. Here we go. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to start on these last few issues. Give me just one moment while I redistribute everything. Thanks for your patience. I did want to take a quick throwback. These are not shiny, happy things, but I did find all 5 of the Heroes Return. So it's Fantastic Four, it's Avengers, it's Thor, it's Captain America, and Iron Man. And that's a $20 set. $20 for that.
Josh has given Barry the Venom book.
All right. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Barry. That's what I'm talking about. I love our friends. All right. So let's keep going. Jared, I'm gonna tee this one up for you just for a second.
Please do.
This is Batman 500.
Yes.
Got a Joe Quesada cover, but you know a little more about the backstory of this, don't you?
Yes. And this story kind of came to light last year when longtime DC writer Denny O'Neil passed away. At this time, he was editing the DC Batman books, and this is part of the Nightfall series. They were building up to issue 500, and the DC executives really want to put a young, new, hot artist on the Batman title for issue 500, which was going to help kick off the Azrael reign as Batman. And Denny O'Neil, knowing the royalties and residuals that would come from issue 500 of Batman, held his ground and insisted that Jim Aparo do the art on issue 500, that he had earned the right over his many years of working for DC, month after month, meeting every deadline, just being the ultimate team player there. So he kept Aparo on the book to issue 500. And it's stories like that that make us appreciate and understand why we need the Hero Initiative. So
yeah. And so yeah, there's never enough time to give thanks and credit to Denny O'Neil. You know, it's unfortunate that those are the types of stories that you know, we have to bubble up, that there isn't more like that, but we're so grateful for Denny's time. I had the opportunity. Hero Initiative has provided us an amazing opportunity to interact with and spend time with creators through all generations. And I had the opportunity to sit with Denny and his wife, Mara Fran, for a weekend, and it was amazing. It was an amazing 48 hours. We missed them both tremendously. They were great people, and comics needs more of the O'Neills. So yeah, so that was Batman 500. Then we're going to have a fun run real quick through some DC stuff in a minute. We also have Robin #1. That's not only shiny, but it's got like an embossed cover, pretty fancy like that. That's a $5 book. Jim Lee Wildcats #2. Always, I was like, why would you wait to spend all the money on this for issue 2? Why wouldn't you do that for issue 1? But anyway, it's shiny, it's happy, and it's $5.
Batman 500, that was $5, right?
It is.
A penny for every issue. Yeah.
A penny for, yep.
Yeah. Ryan Perry is going to take the Robin.
Oh, nice. Thanks. Appreciate it, Ryan. That's yours, buddy. All right. Got a couple more DC, but the one I want to show you now, I tried for a long time to figure out how to show this cover, and I didn't really come up with a good way, so I'm going to apologize in advance. This is actually not very shiny, but it's a matte black, and it's Kelly Jones. And if you can see the embossing, anyway, there it is.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah. So it's all black, it's Batman, and it's super cool. That's $5.
What issue number of Batman is that one?
That is 515.
All right. And Barry Poole has claimed issue 500.
Thanks,
Barry, are you going to double down and take both Batmans?
Cheers, working it. Here's a fun $20.99. I'd be willing to put all 4 of these together for $10. You've got Ravage, Spider-Man, Doom, and Punisher. Those 4 $20.99s all together. Here's another Web of Spider-Man. Oh yeah, catching that hologram action. That's a $5 book.
Barry's going to take 515 of Batman as well. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, Barry. Okay. $20.99 Genesis and $20.99 AD. Got some Doom action there. Each of those is $5. Avengers Ultra Force, little George Perez art, shiny silver logo, $5. Super Soldiers with a little US agent thrown in. Very shiny, very 90s. And that's the sum and total of our shiny happy stuff. So we have some number ones that are unsigned. Excuse me. There's only a couple highlights. There's some silliness in here. I do want to make you aware that we do have Skate Man number 1. If you're not familiar with it, you're lucky. This is Neil Adams, and this gentleman puts on skates and fights crime as Skate Man, $5. We also have New Warriors, number 1. Really great shape book, $5. The Nom, number 1. My first experience with Michael Golden art, and definitely a sign of the times. So the Nom, number 1. Now Jim McLean's set will be complete.
There it is.
She's a lady and a cop. She's Lady Cop. So that's going to Jim. Thank you, Jim. And then the last thing from comics, we've got Hard Boiled number 1. That's Frank Miller and Jeff Darrow. I picked this up. I don't know if Doug is still on watching, but I picked this up from his shop. Everything that I send to you in the mailers came from Doug's shop. He's a great friend and runs a great shop. This is Hard Boiled, Frank Miller, Jeff Darrow, number 1.
Carl Smith is going to take one of the hologram Spidey covers. No preference.
Okay. We can definitely do that. And then the last few...
Carl is also going to take the Nom.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Let's grab that. All right. So I think that pretty much, it takes us to 3:57. So I think we're probably going to run out of time, and I'm not totally sure if StreamYard and Facebook will just shut us off because of the timing parameters that we put in it. But I think for now, we'll call it done. And thank everybody who came in and spent money and just sat around to talk comics. This is literally the greatest part of the hobby, is my friendship with you and us doing things together. So yeah, so I think for Jerry and for John, we'll start to sign off. Oh yeah, Jerry's
let's just
the finger.
Let's just do, and not the middle finger, not this time.
Right.
And just as a little administrative, if you did claim things, thank you. Please send your mailing address to either myself or Cullen, so we can get those books in the mail to you. And again, we're taking care of shipping. We appreciate your donation to the Hero Initiative. We will run through the list and send notes out to each of you to make certain we've accounted for everything that you've bid on, and give you a total. I know some of you have already been making your donations through the fundraiser page. That's awesome. We're close to 1,200 now, and it's still not all in. So there is a lot lot of things going on here. And Josh Thomas, I will guarantee you get one of the all black Batman covers. So I'm going to throw my copy into the mix, so Barry can get a copy and Josh can get a copy of that cover.
That's what friends do.
Yep.
We appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this isn't a corporate thing. This is just us trading books. And thank God for the internet. So anyway, all right. So for Jerry and for John, thank you so much for supporting the Hero Initiative. It means so much to us. And we'll get these books in your hands, and we can't wait to see you so very soon. Thanks. Have a good rest of your day.